freedom is not enough. You do not take a person who for years has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bringing up to the starting line of a race, and then say, you are free to compete with all the others.
I applied to UCLA in the early 90s. I had about a 3.7 GPA, 1100 SDCs. At best, I was the long shot.
All our citizens must have the ability to walk through those gates.
When Eli filled out his college applications, he felt the same old conflict many multiracials feel. Should he check the black box and inflate his GPA from 3.7 to 4.0 or higher? But he'd actually earned that 3.7. Should he ignore the urgings from teachers and counselors to exploit this perfectly legal racial preference and instead check all that apply? But he was informed that if he did that, showing he was of mixed race, he would just be placed into the black box anyway. He considered opting out and leaving the boxes blank, but again, he was informed that he would likely land in the white box. The decision of how to identify himself racially was at this moment tied to his future possibilities.
I felt like I was part of a sham. I left the boxes blank. I did not get in.
Late last night, the University of California Regents voted that 2 years from now, an individual's race and gender will no longer be considered when you apply to work or study at the university.
When Proposition 209 banned racial preferences in California, Eli felt hopeful that his future children would not face the absurdity of race in the way he had. Like the time he asked a university official why it was so important to check the black box. She had simply said, diversity. Maybe Jack and June would not be asked to mask their multiple races into one race in the name of diversity. In 2006, 10 years after Proposition 209 passed, UCLA hit a crisis. Only 96 black freshmen enrolled. However, in 2007, that number somehow doubled to over 200 freshmen.
From 2005 to 2008, I was a member of the Faculty Oversight Committee for Admissions, and in 2007, I think it was, I saw some irregularities. About 33% of the African Americans admitted would not have been admitted if it weren't for the racial preferences.
The new chancellor, Norm Abrams, came to my committee. I want you to use the same system that Berkeley is now using. They seem to have done better in getting African American students to be admitted there. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that when UCLA implemented the holistic system, they also altered their system in another way, and this was to give a series of second chance reviews. So something like 10% of all applicants get one of these second chance rounds, and it's something like 20% of all African Americans. So there's a discrepancy right there. The admissions readers or raters don't know the race of the student, okay? But here's what happens, is that any student who wants to can mention his or her race on the essay. The number of African American students skyrockets. The percent that we admitted went up by like 70%, and then the percent that actually agreed to come went up like 100%, so it doubled. All of my statistical analysis, all of the analysis by Rick Sander, all the analysis by UCLA's special investigator, Robert Mayer, all of our analysis agree that about a third of the black students at UCLA would not have gotten in if it weren't for affirmative action.
Racial preferences were back at UCLA, underground.
The affirmative action singles out like someone's race, and I don't think that's necessarily because they consider like economic factors as well, you know, or like somebody's like, we're both former foster youth, and they would consider that, and I don't think they would so much benefit like saying, oh, I'm part black.
Why, after being one of the first universities in America to forego race in admissions, had UCLA fallen back onto racial preferences?
Whoever's most qualified based on grades and extracurricular should get in, like period. Like it doesn't really matter if the whole school ends up being Indian. If all those Indians were straight up bomb, like then, okay, that's just what happened, like.
And in an America that was even more multiracial than when Eli applied to college.